Oh my God, America, what have you done? I mean, you have just given Europe the final permission to make fun of you as a cultureless and stupid country. And I mean, to be honest, Europe, I mean, it's not running much smoother here, so probably get off your high horse because things all over the world seem to just explode at the moment. And to be honest, with Trump's presidency, I actually expect things to actually, explode soon. However, I want to talk about the American election and also about, well, I don't want to talk about the American election. I want to talk about why I think people voted for Donald Trump, because actually it is just a big fat joke if it wasn't so tragic. I do think that the problem is, and I think this is not an American problem. I mean, in America, it is probably the worst impact you can get because it is just the most powerful nation in the world. But we have it all over the place. It was the Brexit in Britain that divided the country, and there was the presidential election in Austria, and of course you've never heard about this because no one knows Austria, and their biggest achievement was to cause 2 world wars and blame Germany for it. But generally, what I want to say is that all in the world is engulfed in a revolution, but I wouldn't say it's probably a good one, and nations are divided, and they're really divided in essential questions, like, for example, the question of xenophobia or the question of education and how we treat other people. To be honest, I anticipated this result because I was in Britain when Brexit happened, and it was the very same thing. The unexpected outcome happened with a very slim difference, in the votes. So Brexit was 51.9% versus 48.1%. It is a very close result, and people in Britain apparently are divided. And in Austria, it's similar with the presidential election, because the 2 candidates are, on the one side, the very right-wing leader of the FPÖ, which is a right-wing political party, and then you have Alexander Van der Bellen, who is the leader of the left, of the Green Party. So you have 2 completely different candidates that stand for completely different things. And there was a very close election, election result too. It was 49.7, I don't know all this by heart, versus 50.3 for Van der Bellen. So the Green Party won, but Hofer actually did something that Trump threatened to do. He said the election was rigged, and he complained about it, and he actually got through with it. Thank you, Austria. And now there's going to be a re-election at some point in the future. No one really knows because they have postponed it now various times, and yeah, it's getting a bit pathetic. But I'm digressing here. So Donald Trump, the equivalent to a cartoon figure, and a dumb one that is. But still people voted for him, and it's happening, as I said, all over the world. So I do think, and I think this hasn't been taken seriously, probably, or not seriously enough, that people obviously cry out for change. They cry out for something new. The problem is that people, or many people, I'm not generalizing here, just don't really care enough for politics to really get an insight into it. And I'm taking myself in there. It's like I feel that my generation and children younger as well, that they just don't invest an interest in politics anymore, because it's also, at least at my school, it was never really encouraged. So, and this is actually the point that I want to talk about, because I've annoyed people with this for a long time, but I just think it's the truth. And I do think why all of these things happen, roots in the world really lacking public school systems. I think it all comes back to this, because I think many people overlook how significant the school systems are. I mean, they form the people that come out at the end. And nearly everyone and I'm talking about now mainly the Western educated, civilized world, in which nearly every child gets public education. These educational systems, the interesting thing is that they're actually all the same all over the world. I mean, they differ in their structure or in their organization, but generally there is the same importance and hierarchy of subjects. And there's generally the similar or same understanding of how education is perceived and also transmitted. I do think that many students worldwide are discouraged from school. I mean, this is like the general mood, isn't it? Like school is something lame and boring and you don't want to go there and it's exhausting. Problem is that we have a school system in which competitiveness and egotism are actually supported, probably subtly, but they are supported. And we also have school systems in which total obedience to authority is requested, and every mistake, failure, and misbehavior is punished instead of evaluated. I mean, when you fail at a public school, you are punished, normally with a bad grade. When you misbehave, you get detention or other forms of punishment. And so we learn that failure is like the worst thing that can happen to you. And I think also that the fear of failure has become the driving power in our world. And I think that's horrifying because we need to fail. Failure is something that needs to be embraced. It doesn't feel great, probably, but it is something that makes us stronger. It is something that makes us realize how much we can do and how much we can stand. Fear is another subject that drives people, and I think it's the main power of what constitutes these outcomes, because the people are scared, of immigrants, of change, of strangers, of the otherness, and I think this is something that also stems from public school systems. I mean, children should be taught respect and to embrace otherness and diversity. Additionally, many children are not supported in their individual needs and in their individual talents because we have a very insufficient curriculum. And from this stems frustration, hatred, and also desperation, which are all very good soil for hatred towards others and fear of the otherness. Competition is a crucial part in our public school systems. And children are subtly taught that it is okay to step on someone else's toes or even on someone else's head to, rise above and get what you want. It is actually taught that it is a battlefield in which you have to prove yourself. Instead of saying, we are a community, we're all wheels within this huge machine, and we all have to do our part and function in order to have it smoothly running. Political interest and also political, generally questioning whatever is served on your plate, is something that is not supported at school. At school, your individual needs and individual talents are squandered in order for you to support conformity rather than individuality. And I know I said that communal sense is very important and that you're a wheel in this machine. But that doesn't mean that everyone is the same. It is a human machine. It is not a machine in a factory where the wheels really have to be the same in order to make it work. But everyone adds their individuality to this bigger picture. And this is what I mean. And coming back to the election now, I just think that the children nowadays, they don't get taught in politics. B, they don't get taught to question authority or to question anything, actually. So complete obedience towards the authority is requested and is even punished, if you disturb it. And I'm not talking, just to make this clear again, about America here, only. It is a phenomenon that is happening all over the world in most public school systems. It's happened here in Austria, it happens in Germany, it happens in Britain, France, and all the other countries that I can't even name now because I would just be sitting here for 2 weeks. What I'm saying is that the children that are now at school are the children that will form and shape our world, and they will become the working sphere, you know, it's inevitable. I mean, every child grows up. So I think when I talk to parents about this, they often tell me, yeah, you're right, there are some flaws with our school system, but the children need to be prepared for the working world. And I'm always like, this is bullshit, because the children who are now at school will be the working world. It's like you prepare them actually for themselves. And if you change the school system, the working world would probably change as well. No, it not probably will change, but it will definitely change because it's inevitable. And then the working world would probably be improved as well, because there are big flaws. I mean, all these things like burnout and allergies, gastritis, and, you know, all of these illnesses and mental disorders happening, depression. I mean, it's become kind of normal to be depressed. And that's the worst thing. I mean, we think that these developments and these processes are normal. It is normal to wake up and feel like crap. It is normal that your child cries when he goes to school. But I tell you, it isn't, and it doesn't have to be this way. I think in order to get ourselves out of this mess, we have to trust in the children, because for the adults, it's all too late. You know, they formed and shaped their opinions and their views of the world, and you can probably, you know, move them a little bit left or right, but they're done. But the children aren't. So it is essential to change the route in order to change the outcome. And I think you can see this in all these elections, Brexit, the Austrian presidential election, everything that's going on in Hungary, Ukraine, Turkey at the moment. Nations are divided into two different parts, and it is because we haven't learned how to be how to use this communal sense and to work in a community. And yeah, I mean, all I can say now is that America, I'm sorry for you that you have to live with this idiot with a very terrible wig, or even worse, natural hair, for the next 4 years. I mean, the only consolation you might have is that Britain will live with their stupid vote forever, and you will have another chance in 4 years.